Hello everyone, I'm Meteorologist Chesley McNeil with your forecast for today, and we are looking at an 11 Live weather impact alert for tonight going through Friday. As you can see on the 7-day outlook here, we're expecting heavy amounts of rain. Winds will start to pick up on us a bit, but it could be some tornadoes in the area as well, as we are tracking a system that's down in the Caribbean Sea now, but will slide through the Gulf and become a Category 3 hurricane, a major hurricane as it moves further off to the north. Will make landfall over toward Florida and eventually move into the state of Georgia, and that storm system will move right by us in a weakened state, but could add a lot of problems for us. It'll be a major impact for our area, so we'll be looking out for that. The good news is that as we head into the weekend, things will begin to settle down. We'll get the sunshine back in here and only a 20% chance for that rain. So let's talk about it. You're talking about all day Thursday. Now it starts tonight, but all day Thursday into Friday morning and even through Friday afternoon, we'll be looking at those winds pretty gusty through the day. The impacts again will be the rain, the wind, and the possibility for a brief tornado or two. Certainly could be possible as the storm system moves through the area. The need will be for you to stay aware. At least if your power happens to go out, are you ready? Do you have a safe place where you and your family can go, where you can grab some batteries, charge up your phone, maybe put some batteries in the weather radio and get all the latest updates that you're going to need as this storm continues to push through? A lot of people have been asking, hey, is it going to be bad enough for me to stay at home? Well, yes, if you can. Lots of heavy rain in the forecast area over the next couple of days. We'll be dealing with that. And so if your windshield wipers are old, you maybe want to change those. Hopefully you don't have to travel very long distances. You want to get inside and just stay inside if you can. Now, here's the Caribbean Sea here. Right there, you have the Yucatan Peninsula right there. This would be the Gulf. Not a whole lot happening there right now. You can see some of those outer bands extend all the way up into the Florida Keys and up toward Miami, but the bulk of this system is down into the Caribbean Sea, the extreme western Caribbean Sea. It is set to move right into the Gulf. Now, this is the latest advisory from the Hurricane Center, and you can see 70-mile-per-hour winds. Now, once those winds get up to about 74, 75 miles per hour, that's when it will become a Category 1 hurricane. We're expecting that to take place either this afternoon or later on today. It is moving pretty slow right now, moving to the northwest at about 9 miles per hour. So as it moves into these warmer waters, we are anticipating the storm to increase in strength as it continues to push further off to the north and west, eventually making that bend back over toward the east. And so if you look at the entire path of the storm right now, you're looking at it strengthening to a Category 1. That'll be today, and then becoming a Category 2 hurricane by tomorrow morning, and then possibly a Category 3 hurricane before it makes landfall, again, over toward the Big Bend area, right in there, and then head further off to the north. Now, once it makes landfall, the storm will weaken. So we are not anticipating seeing Category 3 hurricane force winds here in the metro area. In fact, as it gets closer, we'll probably start to weaken just a little bit. So once it makes landfall, no longer has those warm waters feeding into the system, and so it will continue to weaken by then. Now, I do want to break this down for you. I'm showing you the wider view right now, but let me back it up here and just take you through it hour by hour here as we go. So today it becomes a Category 1 hurricane, as you can see. Category 2 hurricane by the time we get to tomorrow morning, and then it starts to become a Category 3 hurricane by either Thursday night or Friday morning before it makes landfall. Now, what we have been noticing, and even with each individual run, every update, it has been pushing this back a little bit further toward the west, which is not really a good sign for us as it begins to make landfall and heads further off to the north. Now, the more of a westerly track for us means the greater the impacts will be, because on the right side of the storm is where you're going to get the brunt force of the rain and the wind. It's on the back side of this, so if you're on the west side of the storm, the impacts are a little bit lighter, meaning lighter winds, less rain, right, as it continues to push further off to the north. Now, we still could see the storm being a Category 3 or a Category 2 as it moves into South Georgia. And so you're going to get a lot of impacts there, of course, as far as those winds and that rain goes, pushes further off to the north. Notice a Category 1 by the time we get to Friday morning, just to the south of us, and then the storm continues to weaken from there. So by the time with this latest track that the storm gets up to North Georgia, we're looking at it probably being a tropical storm, maybe even a tropical depression by then, but that center of circulation will be moving through the area, at least either to the east of us or to the west of us. We would want that to the east, of course, and then your brunt would be over here into our extreme eastern counties and over into South Carolina. The more westerly this goes, the greater those impacts will be. And so we'll be watching that. Now, the impacts, as I mentioned, will be the heavy rain, and we'll get that even before the storm gets in here. So you're talking about very heavy rain through the day on Thursday, and then as we head into Friday morning, that's when you're going to see very heavy amounts as that center gets closer to us, and also those winds starting to pick up. And then you'll notice a storm picks up some rapid speeds as it begins to move further off to the north, and then things will begin to settle down as we head into the upcoming weekend. And so there you have it. Now, over the next couple of days, the storm being well down to the south, this will change. Okay, could bend a little bit further over toward the east, could bend even further back toward the west. Either way, it's going to have an impact on our impacts as far as what we will receive. Now, let's break down those impacts for you. Starting off with the rain, we are looking at models that show some heavy amounts of rain in our area. That yellow in there indicates us getting up to maybe 8 to 10 inches of rainfall. Now, this will be through today all the way through Friday is what we're talking about, not all at once, okay? But generally speaking, we could probably see anywhere between 4 and 8 inches of rainfall. Now, there'll be some localized heavier spots that will get into the 10 to 12 inch range, and so that will be more localized, not as widespread as what the model is showing. Generally speaking, 4 to 8 inches of rainfall, and of course that could lead to flooding in the area. You see the flood watch is now extending from Florida all the way up into Tennessee and parts of North Carolina. For us, that flood watch exists for just about the entire state except for our far east, but you're looking at, again, anywhere between 4 to 8 inches. Some localized heavier flooding will take place. The flood watch will take effect this afternoon and will last until Friday afternoon. That's when we're expecting that rain to begin to subside, but flooding takes time. And so if it's swelling our banks, creeks, of our creeks, rivers, and streams, that is going to take some time. So we have to look out for the flooding threat. It's going to be there, folks. Look at the flood risk for Wednesday. That's today. We have a front approaching the area, and it's on the moderate side, right on through the metro area over toward Athens. That's for today. And then once we get into tomorrow, look how widespread it becomes for the area. This is a moderate flood risk, and then up here to the northwest, our extreme northwest counties, you're talking about a very high risk for flooding. Okay, hopefully it doesn't affect your home, but be aware of this heavy rain that's pushing in our area. So rain is one threat, and then we have those winds that we're going to have to deal with. And so you're talking about some pretty high gusts as this storm system moves through. Now, again, depending on where that center of circulation goes, it's on the east side of that where you're going to see the brunt of the winds. All right, and so our winds will remain on the light side, and these are wind gusts. All right, though it will remain on the lighter side at least through Thursday evening. Stop to here by 10 o'clock. Thursday evening, where you're just now starting to see some of our eastern towns starting to pick up winds getting in excess of 25 to 30 miles per hour. These are gusts. That's going to continue, and it spreads over toward the east, so that by the storm starts to get up here by Friday morning, stop to here by 5:30. There is the center there. You can see where we can see wind gusts in the 60 mile per hour range. You got the 40 mile per hour range and 30 mile per hour range all the way over here toward our westernmost counties. 51 mile per hour range up towards Gainesville and even into parts of Rayburn County. That continues to slide to the north. Even after the center slides north of us through the day on Friday, we still could see those wind gusts in the 30 mile per hour range. So even through the day on Friday, it's still going to be a pretty windy on the outside. The rain would have stopped, but with the winds, the ground already saturated from all that rain that we had, with the winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour, that could topple over some trees. That could lead to the power outages. So that could last well into the weekend. If we have numerous trees, those winds won't start to subside until we get to Friday evening. So around 9 o'clock or so, you start to see those wind gusts starting to back down to the single digits. So that'll be better for us. As far as the severe weather threat, right now at least, the Storm Prediction Center is thinking well east. Here's our southeasternmost counties. You can see where we have that tan shade there. That is a moderate risk for severe weather. That's centered around the yellow area, which is also well east of us as well. That's the slight risk for severe weather, followed by the dark green. Notice the metro Atlanta area right now is under that light green shade, which means a general threat for thunderstorms, but really can't rule out an isolated tornado happening in our area. And if that storm system starts to slide a little bit further toward the west, all of these will begin to shift as well. And so a brief spin up certainly possible. It's just a little bit better of a chance or greater of a chance over here toward the east, especially as those winds encounter coming off the ocean, encountering land here. You get a twist in the atmosphere, and so that's where you can really see those spin up tornadoes. But again, even up toward our way, it's certainly possible as well with those outer bands starting to push into the forecast area. So we have to be on the lookout for tornadoes in the area as well. Here it is, our forecast track model. You can follow along with me with the time right there at the top of the screen. It shows by 5:30 this afternoon, we'll be looking at scattered showers. We'll start off with isolated showers, and then scattered showers and thunderstorms are certainly possible starting around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock this afternoon. That's going to linger right on through 5 o'clock. A lot of us will be experiencing some of that heavy rain. Some of us won't see anything at all, right? It doesn't really start until we get to the evening for a lot of the easternmost areas, and so that's going to be with us at least through the overnight going into Thursday. Thursday, when you wake up, heavy rain continuing in the area. We'll have rounds of it. So there'll be some areas where we have, if you look at this green shade here, some light rain, and then some areas where we have some heavy rain. Embedded thunderstorms here and there as well, and so we'll watch that. Off and on, that rain will be with us right on through the day. On Thursday, stop to here by 1:30 in the afternoon. You're looking at very heavy rain from Athens down through Covington, down through Thomaston, some of the lighter rain back off to the west of us, but it won't stop. So it's going to be off and on. For example, in Marietta, you had light rain, but then once we get to Thursday evening, some of that heavy rain coming back to you. Again, with a few embedded thunderstorms around, could produce some gusty winds as well. But again, we're not anticipating that wind to pick up from the tropical system until we get toward Thursday evening. So even the winds still light at this particular point. We're still dealing with that rain. Again, this is all day Thursday. And then once we get to Friday, notice the bulk of the rain starts to come back our way. So we've had rain tonight, had it through the day on Thursday, and then we're still dealing with it on Friday as the center of circulation starts to get a little bit closer. And it should be a little bit weaker by the time it gets up here. So you're still talking about tropical storm force winds possibly in the area, maybe close to Category 1 hurricane winds in some of our southern towns as that rain continues to push right on through. This particular track has it to the east of the city of Atlanta. And so you're on the back end of this. If that center of circulation happens to move any further to the west, that means we're going to experience some of these stronger winds even in the metro area. So that's something to have to watch out for. Again, the storm well down to the south is now. That track could change as it gets a little bit closer, but right now it's showing it moving over toward our easternmost counties. And so even through 9 a.m. on Friday, we're still dealing with some of that heavy rain in the area. That begins to subside as we head into the afternoon. A lot of that rain pushes off to the north. We'll still have a few clouds around. Even at 2:30 in the afternoon, I still think we'll have gusty winds in the forecast area. Those winds gusting up to about 30 miles per hour. Even with all that rain pushing up to the north, the ground is saturated. So again, we can get some trees toppling over. That could fall on some power lines, and so we could get power outages. In fact, I think even with the latest track of it being over toward the east, we're still going to see some power outages in the forecast area. Skies will continuously clear out as we head through the day on Friday, even getting some sunshine in here before it sets by Friday evening. We'll be dealing with those light showers around the area. The chance for the rain remains in the forecast even as we head into Saturday. Maybe a touch breezy during the afternoon, but conditions very much improved by the time we get to the weekend. So you're talking 81 degrees on Sunday. By Monday, we're looking at 80 as well. 77 degrees for the high temperature by Tuesday, and Wednesday we get the sunshine back in here with temperatures right around 80 degrees. So it's tonight, Friday, which is Wednesday. That's the wrong date right there. I apologize for that. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are the dates that we will be dealing with. I got the wrong 7-day in here right now. Let me get to the right one here and just show you what I'm talking about there. So tonight, Thursday and Friday are our 11 live weather impact days. Okay, that's what we'll be dealing with as far as the forecast goes for today. Early high today of 79 degrees. I think our temperature will be falling because of the cloud cover and the rain that we will be experiencing by this afternoon. And we're not talking about the Helene at all. We're just talking about a front making its way into the area, and that's going to drop some brief heavy rain on us. Keep in mind that we are in a moderate drought, and so rain is welcome, but this much rain over 3 days can do damage for us as far as the flooding goes. So that's what we have to be on the lookout for. We talked about those three things. I'm going to mention them once again. The three things as far as our impact goes will be the rain, which could be heavy at times and will lead to flooding. Speaking of flooding, especially when you're talking about overnight going into the morning, if you can see water right? Standing water, you don't want to ride through that because you really can't see how deep that water is. Or if it's running or rushing water, you definitely don't want to go through that. It doesn't take much to displace even a car as far as running water goes. You only need a few inches to pick up something and have that run. So don't want to walk through that, don't want to ride through that at all. So be very, very careful, especially at nighttime when you're driving. We'll say from Thursday going into Friday especially, and the threat for the severe weather around our forecast area. And so you could get these brief spin up tornadoes. So you definitely want to be on the lookout for that. And again, the need will be for you to prepare now. Don't wait until the storms arrive here to try to prepare yourself. Make sure you have a safe place to go for you and your family. So that means a plan, right? If the rain starts or if the power goes out, here's where we want to go, where you have battery powered things. So you have battery powered lights, battery powered radios, your phone already charged up, or at least a battery that you connect to it to help it charge up as well, so you can get all the latest updates. Now, speaking of updates, you can get those by downloading our app. If you get the app, you can just click all the alerts that you need. We can send those alerts right to your phone so you know what's happening in your forecast area, and that can potentially save you and your family's life, folks. So you definitely want that. So think of your plan right now. That's what you need to do. We're warning you of this before the storm gets here. It is likely that that will take place for us again late Thursday going into Friday. All right, and so the storm will start to speed up a little bit once we get to Friday and start to move out of the forecast area. Here again is the latest update from the Hurricane Center as of 8 o'clock this morning. We're looking at those winds starting to get up there a bit. This should be a Category 1 hurricane upon entering into the Gulf as it moves over those warmer waters. And so we're expecting it to intensify. Will likely be a Category 1 hurricane through the day today and then become a Category 2 hurricane by the time we get to Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening. Then it could become a Category 3. Once it reaches Category 3 status, that means a major hurricane. You're talking winds over 120 miles per hour at times. Do want to walk you through the latest track from the Hurricane Center. Once again here, we'll be looking at this storm making its way right on through into the Gulf, as you can see, becoming a Category 2 possibly by Thursday morning or in the wee hours of the morning. Could become a Category 2 hurricane. Now, notice how it starts to move it's moving to the northwest right now, but it begins to bend back. That's going to be thanks to that trough that's going to be making its way closer to our area. Talk about that cold front. So it's really going to be pulled into that system, which is why it starts to bend a little bit further over toward the east. By the time it gets into the Gulf, it's kind of drawn up and into that particular system that's going to be approaching our forecast area. Could make landfall as a Category 3, and at this point it would be a major hurricane here, a Category 3 hurricane, before it makes landfall over into the Big Bend area. And again, with each run we've been seeing, like initially it was a little bit further over toward the east, and now with each run it's starting to bend a little bit further back over toward the west, which again is not a great thing for us because we would want this to stay mainly on a trajectory where we would be on the west side of the center of circulation, which means our impacts would be a little bit less. Either way, this storm is going to drop a lot of heavy rain throughout our entire state. Those winds will start to pick up on us a bit as well, especially as with the storm, the center of circulation gets a little bit closer to us. When a hurricane makes landfall, you get a lot of brief spin ups as far as the tornadoes go. A lot of that will be experienced over into the Tampa area, over into the Gainesville area as well. Will hold somewhat a part of its strength as it begins to make landfall. So into South Georgia, you could be experiencing winds maybe up to 100 miles per hour in some of these spots as well, especially over into southeastern portions of our state. As it continues to push further off to the north, will weaken somewhat. We're looking at it weakening possibly to a tropical storm. By the time it moves through, it could be a tropical depression as it moves through. Either way, winds and heavy rain associated with it, especially out ahead of it. So those winds and the rain will be felt by Thursday evening, even though this makes landfall late Thursday going into Friday morning in the system, probably just to our south by the wee hours of the morning on Friday. It will move through the area Friday morning, and so we will start to feel the brunt of the impact early on Friday. I'll say late Thursday going into Friday, with the winds coming in and also that heavy rain out ahead of the system coming up to the north. And so we'll continue to watch that. Now it will dissipate as it heads further off to the north, where it will just meander around into the Midwest. This will be taking place by Saturday and Sunday, far enough away from our area that I think we'll start to clear it out a little bit, get some sunshine back in here as we head toward the weekend. So we'll continue to watch this track, and the track likely to change as the storm system starts to intensify and gets closer to our area. Where will the front be? Where will that system that we're dealing with today be by the time the system makes it up to the north? All right, and so that's going to be something that we'll watch out for. I would say somewhat of a concern for us because we really don't want to be on the eastern side of that particular system. Again, the rainfall, one of the impacts we talked about, heavy amounts of rain, model producing that in excess of about 10 inches, possibly in some localized area. Because of that, we are looking at a flood risk, folks. Flood watch goes into effect this afternoon and will stay in effect at least through Friday evening, where we'll continue to see some heavy rains. I'm going to say, generally speaking, from 4 to 8 inches of rainfall possible with some localized heavy amounts. So you're talking about, especially up here toward the northeast, maybe up to 10, 12 inches of rainfall is certainly possible. For today, that flood risk is moderate. And you can see over toward the metro area, just south of Atlanta Metro, over toward the Athens area, that red area right there, indicating that moderate risk for flooding. And then that area grows in size as we head into Thursday, with the far northeastern counties under that high threat for flooding. So you're talking about from Fanning, Union Towns County over toward Rabun County, all the way down into parts of Hall County and northern parts of Forsyth County as well, where the flood threat is very high. Moderate everywhere else, which is a concern, of course, with all that heavy rain coming through. And then we talk about those winds, all right? Now, not expecting those winds, the wind gusts really start to pick up until we get toward late Thursday night going into Friday. Here we are by Friday morning. Notice that center of circulation is to the east of us. If this just happens to be a little bit further over toward the west, then you're talking about higher wind gusts in a lot of areas, especially the Atlanta metro area. But look at this, a 70-mile wind gust possible as far east as places like Edenton. Even further toward the east, they'll be even higher. So you're talking about Augusta, those wind gusts will be even higher. Even as the storm continues to lift further off to the north during the day on Friday, we're still looking at wind gusts in the 30, 35 mile per hour range. And so those are the three things we're going to deal with. The flooding from the rain, of course. We'll be watching out for any severe weather threat. And of course, the winds will be a concern as well. Keep it locked right here for the very latest. We'll keep you updated all day long and throughout the life of the storm.